Hello everyone, this video is about the Ascendant Lord, which is also your first house, the Lord of your first house, which is you, yourself, your personality, your body. What happens when it goes to the 11th house? And we will try to understand with the placements of planets. I will try to cover all the planets. So bring up your charts and see if your Ascendant Lord is in the 11th house and what could be the results. Okay, so we will understand what is the 11th house first, and then we will try to link the first house, which is you, yourself, and your personality, what happens when it goes to the 11th house. Okay, so 11th house is nothing but it's the world outside. It's the world of masses. It's ruled by Aquarius in the Kalpurush Kundali. Okay, which means we have to look at Saturn in the chart, no matter where Saturn, if it has nothing to do with which ascendant you are or which planet is sitting there, but the overall placement of Saturn is very, very important, because this is the 11th house is governed by Saturn. And Saturn, as we know, is the Karaka for all the working class people, all the masses, all the blue collar jobs are all seen by Saturn. Okay, which is why Aquarius or the 11th house, masses are seen from there. Large organization like Tata or Reliance or IBM, where lots of that employs lots and lots of people are working there. Large organizations are seen from the 11th house. Your older siblings are seen from the 11th house. And lots of money is seen from this. One of the most important houses for gains and incoming wealth. We know what are the other houses. You know, if you want to know about Dhan Yoga and money in your chart, check out the time card on top, where I have explained Dhan Yoga and Money Yoga. So 11th house is one of the main houses for incoming wealth. So if you have a strong and powerful 11th house, that means there will always be incoming gains. Whether you can save it or not, that we will see from the second house. If your second house is strong, then there will be savings. Otherwise, people will make a lot of money, but they will spend a lot of money as well. Okay, so let's look at the 11th house again. 11th house is what? It is the masses outside, large organizations. It is your older siblings. It is your gains. Incoming wealth. If you're a businessman, the money the payment that comes into your as gains from your profits is all seen from the 11th house. Also, 11th house is the house of your network circle and your friends. Right? And today's world, 11th house is the most important house. Why? Because social media can be seen from 11th house. Even YouTube to some extent can be seen from the 11th house. Because what does YouTube do? What am I doing? I am talking to the masses. Anyone in the world, apart from Russia right now, and some countries where YouTube is not allowed, can see my video and learn about Vedic astrology. Okay? So communication through the masses is seen from the 11th house. And since Saturn is the Lord of the 11th house in Aquarius, we have to look at the placement of Saturn, and we have to look at the placement of Rahu. Okay? Because Rahu also has the part ownership and lordship of Aquarius. So, two planets become very, very important for you whenever we are talking about the 11th house. So if these two planets in your chart, no matter which ascendant you are, if these two planets are exalted or in a very, very good placement, or both are sitting in the 11th house or have something to do with the 11th house, or they're in very, very good placements and good signs, that means you will have a lot of incoming gains. Okay? So to get to know about Rahu, I have made quite a few videos. I've made an entire series about Rahu. So this is the playlist here, and check out where your Rahu is, especially if you have Rahu in conjunction. Okay, so mass communication, social media, network circle, your friends, gains from friends and networking is seen from the 11th house. And we all know, if you're running a business or even if you're employed, the importance of networking in today's world. If you have a good network, you can really use your network and build your business. Or you can, if you're unemployed, if you've lost a job, what do? You get on LinkedIn. You get on some job portals. You make a phone call to your ex-colleagues or your ex-boss. You say, hey, this is my resume, I'm looking out, or I've lost my job, help me out here. So that network circle is all seen from the 11th house. Or you called your older siblings, hey, I need to do something. So older siblings, any older brother figure in your life is again seen from the 11th house, that you can gain from. Okay. So what happens when your personality, yourself, your Lagna Lord goes to the 11th house? Usually, people will have all these kind of 11th house traits, because if the career, what a person does in their life, has a great role to play wherever the Ascendant Lord goes to, wherever the Ascendant is. So now we will quickly look at each planet. If Mars goes to the 11th house, it's a very, very, especially if there are no aspects, no negative aspects, no malefic aspects, and Mars is strong and powerful there in the 11th house, especially for an Aries ascendant. Great placement for being a lawyer, a sports person, anything where your fighting spirit or courage is required, right? It usually gives great results in the later part of the life, because this is a house that gets better with time. So you may face some kind of challenges, or could be struggles in the initial part of your life, but as you get older, you will see that you are getting gains. And if you see most lawyers, no lawyer gets famous as soon as they start working. It takes time and experience. Great place for sports people to be. Also fantastic for anyone in the armed forces, or even in politics. Politics can be seen because you need a commanding position. This is especially if Saturn is very well placed, people can be in a position in a company, or even in politics, where they have authority, because Mars is a soldier. Mars likes to be in a very authoritative position. Okay. Scorpio ascendants can have a very small network circle here, because Mars goes to Virgo here, and if Mercury is well placed, they can be into any accounting related or numbers or analytics, could be into research oriented fields. They could also be doctors. They could be into the medical profession. If you're Aries, if you're an Aries ascendant, and if it goes to Aquarius, especially if there is some kind of a aspect or some kind of a conjunction with Jupiter. I have also seen surgeons with that particular placement. Okay. Scorpio ascendants can be with this placement can be fantastic at data analysis kind of role, but their network circle and their relationship with their friends could be very limited. They might have a very limited number of friends. They might also, after they get older, cut off with their friends, because what is Mars? Mars is Scorpio ascendants are either in or out, so they don't, if they are friends with you, they'll go all guns blazing. But the moment they cut off with you, it's very difficult for Scorpios to come back. So at the later point of life, Scorpio ascendants and even Aries ascendants, they get very research oriented, and they get very analytic, because it comes naturally to them. So they could really cut down their friend circle. They could also cut down relationship with their older siblings. So all these are negative traits, but usually the 11th house can give a lot of gains and money with that placement. Okay. Now let's look at the Taurus ascendants. The Taurus ascendants, it's Venus is exalted. They are fantastic position for Venus if you're getting support from other planets as well. If Jupiter is well placed and Saturn and Rahu are well placed, great placement to make money, because Venus is a social planet, and 11th house is the network circle. So Venus loves being there. Because of the exaltation and the Pisces energy, they might network with spiritual people. They might want to have a network of people that talk about idealism, spirituality, but also full of artists and musicians, because that's what Venus likes to do. Venus, if Rahu is involved and Rahu is well placed. Even musicians and DJs, electronic music can be seen from there. Okay, people with great networking skills make money through artwork, make money through networking. Wedding planners can be seen from there. Very, very good placement. People who are into PR industry, food and beverages industry, alcohol industry is all seen from this particular placement. Fantastic artists, people into artwork, anything creative is seen from there. If you're a man with this particular placement, you will have lots of women friends. All right, because Venus, your network circle goes and gets exalted in the 11th house. All right, so if you're a Libra ascendant, goes to Leo, it's not a very good placement for because of Leo being an enemy sign. But these people can the negative traits is, again, they're very, very, very social in most of the cases. If like I said, we have to check the aspect of other planets. We have to see how Mercury is, we have to see how Saturn and Rahu in the most important planets. But again, very, very good place to network. These people usually like networking with people with authority because it's in Leo. Negative traits is they can be extremely spendthrift. They could spend a lot of money because Venus becomes royal there in the sign of Leo. All right, but if it's in this nakshatra of Purva Falguni, it can give good results. But you should keep these people. Venus in the 11th house for Libra ascendant, you could do some kind of a business with where the government people or people in authority are involved. Creative business is fantastic. Okay, could also see the education business. But spending money and saving money could be a problem. They could splurge on their friends, because Venus becomes a bit royal in the sign of Leo. Okay, so stay away from intoxication, especially with Venus in this particular placement, because in today's world, socialization means intoxication and consumption of alcohol and other substances, which may harm the ascendant. All right, so let's look at the moon there. So moon becomes exalted. Again, very, very good placement. So moon gets exalted. So these people could be in the healthcare industry. Great placement for people who are psychiatrists, counselors, because moon becomes very stable there, and it is going to the 11th house of masses. Even if you're not a counselor, even if you're not in the healthcare industry, but you could be like the backbone of your family and your friends, and they could come to you for advice. Right, so you could play that role because of that stability of moon. But again, this stability of moon needs to be checked with other aspects. If it is getting severely afflicted by malefics, then it could also cause depression. Okay, doctors can be seen from the healthcare. Food and beverages, fantastic placement for food and beverages, especially sweets industry, people doing business for food and beverages. Okay, social media can be seen. People can have a great sense of humor with this particular placement. They could have lots of friends. They could socialize a lot, because again, moon, like Venus, is a social planet. Moon likes to socialize. Moon likes to go out. Okay, makes the ascendant very strong. Great placement for incoming wealth. So if you're in the right business, and if you're doing the right thing, and if you're consistent, and if you are making long-term business plans and long-term employment, this placement can make you lots and lots of money, especially during the moon and the Venus Mahadasha, also during the Rahu and Saturn Mahadasha. Okay, all right, let's look at the Leos. So if Sun goes to Gemini, firstly, Sun loves being in Gemini because it's Mercury sign. Sun loves to communicate, and Sun likes to communicate with authority. Okay, so this placement makes them the center of attention because it goes to the 11th house. So these people love cracking jokes, love entertaining people. The entertainment industry is fantastic for these people. Okay, because it goes to the masses. So if you have a YouTube channel, and if you have Sun in Gemini and you're a Leo ascendant, you can go ahead and do something towards the entertainment industry. Okay, where you're talking to the masses. Great placement for politics. Some great politicians have this particular placement because they're communicating to the masses. Remember, Mercury becomes very, very important for Leo ascendants, because a king is not a king till he is able to communicate effectively, which is why both the money houses, The the second house and the 11th house for Leos is governed by Mercury, which is nothing but communication and brains. So this makes the Leo ascendants extremely intelligent if Mercury is well placed. What they need to be careful of, because Rahu and Saturn both consider Leo, both consider Sun as the enemy. So they must, if they have this particular placement, and since 11th house is governed by Saturn and Rahu, they must make sure that they are following all the rules and not taking Rahu's shortcuts. They could they could get into trouble with law and order and government here. Okay, and any business plans, they need to be long-term business plans. Fantastic for social media, mass communication. Very good placement. Okay. All right, let's look at Mercury. So if you are a Gemini ascendant and your Mercury is in the 11th house, great place for business. Fantastic. So this is where Mercury is able to connect two different parties and make money. Okay, because one is it's in masses. Okay, so Mercury is able to connect two business parties, play the role of the negotiator, and make money here. So if you have this particular placement, if you're a Gemini ascendant, you could look at business, getting into business, especially if Saturn and Rahu are very well placed. And we'll also look at Mars here, because it's happening in the sign of Aries. This placement makes the person very, very intelligent. They could be fantastic with numbers. You could also make a lot of money if you get into technical analysis and trading here. Any kind of industry or any kind of employment where numbers is very important. If Rahu is aspecting it, it's a great placement for getting into IT. Something where you have to use your intelligence to make money and communicate with people. Okay. If it's Virgo ascendant, it goes to Cancer. We have to look at the placement of Moon here, because Mercury doesn't really like being in the sign of Cancer. But however, it can give great benefit from friends and networking. It can also give benefits from the mother and the older siblings. Great place to be in the healthcare industry. Any industry where you are serving people, or even the customer care industry, the food and beverages industry, selling equipments for the hospital, gym industry. Fantastic placement. Okay. Also, people can get into become accountants, where you're doing you're a chartered accountant, a CA, where you're doing the number and taxes for people, for the masses. Okay. Usually people with this placement may like to travel a lot as well. All right, so let's look at Saturn. Saturn, if you're a Capricorn ascendant, it forms a Dhan Yoga, because your second lord goes there. So great placement for money, but usually after your 30s and later on, because this house gets better and you will make a lot of money. People like in this industry can become lawyers, because it goes to Scorpio. You can get into any oil and gas, car dealing, anything to do with Saturn industry, metals, anything under the ground. People also have seen with this placement like to go to the Middle East, because Middle East is pretty much on oil and gas. So they can be doing something for the companies which is literally making money for oil and gas. There could be some connection with oil and gas and petroleum industry if you have this placement, especially if you are a Capricorn ascendant. They could be very secretive about their friends. They may not have a huge network circle, because Saturn kind of restricts this particular thing in the 11th house. Okay. They could also have great interest in astrology, because it's in the sign of Scorpio. Even people who are doing long-term data research work can be seen from this particular placement. If you're an Aquarius ascendant, again it goes to Sagittarius. We have to look at Jupiter, we have to look at Rahu. Usually researchers and great educators, long-term employment. If Sun is well placed, even employment for the government is seen there. Love traveling, they really like traveling, they like to travel, because Sagittarius energy kicks in there. And if Jupiter is also well placed, they do end up doing something in their lives which involves education. With this placement, the more and more they improve their knowledge, the more it benefits them, because again, for Aquarius ascendant, Jupiter is the main karaka for incoming wealth. So the more knowledge they acquire with this particular placement, the better it will be. Relationship with the older siblings could be distant because of this placement, or you could be the oldest sibling. You may not have any younger siblings if you have this placement with Saturn. Okay. If you're a Sagittarius and if you have Jupiter there in Libra, then you could be looking at business of education, online education. Very good placement. All right. You could work from home with this particular placement. You may come across to the rest of the world as someone who is very knowledgeable and wants to educate people. Also, business communication, knowledge on business comes very easily because it's sitting on Libra. We have to look at the placement of Venus. If Venus is very good, well placed, it can give you lots of gains. It can give you gains from your network circle. Usually with this placement, people have a massive network circle because Jupiter is the sign of expansion, and it's usually gains from the network circle. Okay, so very good placement because even the aspects are pretty good. It looks at your 7th house as well. So if you're a woman and if you have this placement, you may have met your partner in some kind of an educational setup, or you were learning something from your partner. Okay. All right, if you're a Pisces ascendant, well, for Pisces ascendants, it's not a very good placement because Jupiter debilitates in this particular placement. So if you have this placement, you have to be very careful about the friends you make and your network circle. Okay, because with this placement, you could get cheated, or you could get severely betrayed with this kind of placement. Even when you're getting into relationships and considering marriage, don't take an impulsive decision. Take some time, because it happens in the sign of Capricorn, and Capricorn is about long-term commitment. Okay, so avoid taking impulsive decisions if you have this placement. Be careful of your network circle. You need to be very careful who you're letting in and who you're trusting, because since Jupiter debilitates there could be some kind of an issue with your friend circle. Your friend circle, you may have some people in the friend circle that you consider friends, but they don't consider you friends. So that's all I have for you all. Rahu in this placement is fantastic. Usually gives great results. You can check out my video on Rahu in the 11th and all different houses and get more details. Rahu is fantastic in this house. Great for making money, expansion of wealth, expansion of network circle, especially if you're into the technology. If you're into social media, marketing, advertising, YouTube, influencer, YouTube, social media influencer, fantastic industry, even if Mercury is involved and if it's in a good placement. So watch my Rahu videos if you want to know about Rahu. That's all I have for you today. If you found this useful, please hit the subscribe button. If you want to share it, go ahead and share it. If you have a friend that you know that the placement is in the 11th house and can benefit with this video, right now go ahead and share it. Go ahead and comment. I'm very active in the comment. If you have any questions, I will try my best to answer you, but mention details. Just 1 or 2 placements of planets. I can't really give you a prediction. Thank you very much for your time.